back once again with Erika of the Cricket, covering all things Manchester by the Sea and Essex. And we have a big event coming up, Erika. It's the annual town meeting, right?
It is the annual town meeting, and if you judge the number of submissions by Alan Wilson, our moderator, which he just submitted the 6th article in 2 weeks, that he's asked for me to put in the paper. This one is a health protocol. Yeah, it's big.
Yeah. So now, to lay this out for us again, so is this part one of a 2-part meeting?
I guess you can see it that way. That's not officially what it is, but it essentially, practically, that's exactly what it is. Its annual town meeting is on the 25th, Monday, the 25th, 7 p.m. at the Manchester Memorial School. Everyone's going to have their first peek at our brand new $52 million school. But really, it's 13 articles, but and they've pared it down so that it's the articles that they want to focus on really 3 of them, special ones, 10, 11, and 12, I believe it is. Because the first, group of them, 1 through 10, I guess, is really just pro forma stuff. It's budget, which is really, really important, but it's annual budgets that the finance committee's been working through and they've been flushing through. It's the standard stuff. And then there's also a consent kind of agenda, if you will, where it's things that the Board of Selectmen have already unanimously approved and said it's fine, it's not controversial, we're going to back it, and therefore they're seen as being sort of, it's a consent situation where the residents and the voters are supposed to kind of say, have the assurance that this is backed and vetted by a board, and therefore it's going to go quickly. So really, it's only 3 articles that are going to be approached. And then the next series of articles are going to, which is part 2, will be in the summer. It'll be in July, I believe it is. Yeah. So it's fine. So I can talk to you about the 3 articles.
Yeah. What are some of the big ticket items here?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest one that's going to get a lot of attention is number 10. It used to be number 11, by the way. And now it's number 10. That's why I had to look. And that
with a bullet?
It's actually what the planning board's been working on for a very, very long time. And that is the big chunks of recodification, reorganizing and streamlining and editing and sharpening down our codes, our bylaw codes. So recodification, that's where that comes from. But really within that, the biggest part that is sort of getting most of the attention, we've talked about this as well, is changing some of the allowances in the limited commercial district, which is that area on the other side of 128, along 128 really, between School Street, the School Street exit to the north, and Pine Street to the south. There isn't a lot there, but it was deemed a commercial district long ago, 50, 60 years ago. And it includes the Manchester Athletic Club, family medicine. It has the old Brady Industrial Park, which is now known as a storage place, and some sort of industrial units there. And then it's also on the other side, it's where the dump is. It's where Black Earth Compost is going to be breaking ground in the spring. That's around Pine Street. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to add lab use, biotech, a biotech sort of lab and science use for a very specific area that is behind the Manchester Athletic Club. They're really going to allow the whole area on that side of School Street. And that's because Cell Signaling, which is a Beverly-based biotech firm, has put a very large piece of property under agreement there because they would like to build a campus there. It's and they need sort of the change of use, allowable uses in the bylaw, and that needs to pass in order for them to even apply, which is what they're going to be doing. They're going to be applying for all the bird. They need to still apply for a special permit through the boards, but they can't do it if it's not an allowable use. So that's number 1. That's a big one. Yeah. Then the other 2 are pretty. They're straightforward, but they're worthy of focus. And number 1 is going to be a property room tax on short-term rentals, which is sort of the Airbnb effect, right? The state passed that. I want to say 2 years ago, the state passed the fact that we should now be collecting taxes, and those taxes should go to the municipality. Gloucester did it a long time ago. Manchester is now getting in on it. The problem is that Airbnb was kind of, Manchester said no Airbnbs. We don't want the riffraff in Manchester. So you have to actually ask for special permits, and you're not allowed to rent an Airbnb for under, I believe it is, a week or 5 days.
Okay.
So
I've seen some places where it's 30 days.
Well, I guess Manchester would be more flexible then.
Yeah, right.
But the truth is, you see those permissions come across the BOS occasionally where people, are transparent and they do it the right way. I think some people sort of do it the sneaky way and they do it. But in any case, here's the thing. This is what the vote is for. They're going to start collecting state taxes, and you have to do it if this passes, you're going to have to reserve taxes, charge taxes, reserve them, give them to the state, and the state will give it back to Manchester. If you rent your unit through Airbnb or anybody else for more than 14 days out of the entire year. So that's coming up. And then the final thing, which I think is interesting because it's not on the consent agenda, is to change the name of the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board, which has been happening across the state for a number of years because, of course, they're not all men, and they're sort of they're moving into the future. And what I find interesting is it is not part of the consent agenda because there was one Board of Selectmen member, board member. Let's just call them a board member. There was one board member who said that they were vehemently against it. And it was a little surprising when that person did it. I'm not going to say who it was or what their gender is because that would give it away. But anyway, so they're going to move into being called Select Board, which is SB instead of BOS, right? So I'm going to have to now with the newspaper get used to that as well, because it's an adjustment. You're so used to BOS, and I hope I don't slip up and say BS instead of SB.
I know. Yeah. It's a possibility.
Anyway. Yeah, so I don't anticipate any big fireworks around that one. So really the big one is the LCD change. So that's what's coming.
And will there be, like we brought this up before, will there be bouncers at the doors marking people off as they come in this time around?
I don't know.
We need a show of hands. We need a head count.
Yeah. And by the way, I should say this, the recodification thing is being chunked out, by the way. So the recodification is a theme. It's not going to be over and done with this one. It's just the LCD part that's being addressed. I should clarify that because I don't want anybody to come back and say, you don't understand the planning board and what they're doing.
Well, hopefully attendance is nice this year just because we're on the other side of the pandemic. We're almost out of the woods there. So should be a big difference this time around too. Yeah. And
I hope so. I think it's going to be, although that health protocol that I just got from Alan Wilson doesn't show me that it's changing that much. But yeah, they're being careful, which is the right thing to do. But yeah, it's going to be really nice to kind of be in person inside again. People are feeling like they're back to normal. We're doing our election preview like in a couple of weeks, in like 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to do something in person. So it's going to be a hybrid. So that's
nice.
I think we're hoping that people want to sort of meet their candidates in person and listen to them face to face, things like that. And that's the same with town meeting.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, spring is springing for sure. So speaking of spring, Erika, there's some cool stuff going around the town lately, right? We have band concerts, we've got sports in high gear.
Yes, and there's a lot of stuff with the school that's going on. It's interesting. First of all, Jason Brisboy did a double, kind of preview for sports. One is on the softball team, which is the girls softball team, which is really interesting because that's a co-op team that we have, much like the ice hockey in the winter with boys is a co-op team with Cape Ann. We have a co-op team with Hamilton Wenham for softball, and it's in their second year now. And I think they're just starting to cook with gas, which is really nice.
Oh, no kidding. What do they call themselves?
Don't ask me that because I don't think it's the Hornets. I don't think it's the Hornets. I got to look at sort of what their name is because I got to see if
Generals.
Brought it up. No, I'm looking at it and I do not see. I don't see a name. So there
Viewers,
you go.
got to let us know.
I'll let you know next time. With tennis though, tennis is like really going to have a good one because John Pope is a senior and his father grew up in Manchester, but he's from New York because he moved to New York and he moved during COVID back with his son, John Pope. And he's the number one guy. He's kind of a ringer on the tennis team. So we're going to look for that.
I've always had strong tennis teams over there.
Oh my God, he's fantastic. John Pope is great. And then Jack Cummins is number 2. He's the number 2 singles player. And Rumer DeWitt is number 3. So I think it's going to be fun to watch that. And then of course there's boys lacrosse, which is off to their games already. They've already had 2 games this season. And they're doing really well. The first game, they had a tough one. The second one worked out much better, but that's off to a great start too. So there you go. And then of course bands, we had the band concert with Joe Janek, who is just beloved. There was this awesome feeling in the spring concert this year because most of the people in band were seniors, and because the senior class is so large this year, and he started when they were in 8th grade for the first year of band. So this is this is the first time where he's watched a class go from the very beginning to the very end. And it was such a great concert. They played Red Hot Chili Peppers. They played, the Weather Report. They played some awesome things. And then of course there's the sound waves, a cappella, and then the chorus. They all did a great job. So big shout out to them.
Love it. Great stuff. All right. Anything else going on, Erika?
Do I need to have it? Hasn't that been enough? I mean, we're just Manchester.
That's a lot. There's a lot happening. Yeah, and there's going to be even more going on. So so we appreciate you spending time with us. And there's a lot to unpack with the town meeting. I'm sure you'll keep us up to date with that. So in the meantime, folks, you can subscribe to The Cricket if you'd like. thecricket.com, right?
I love you. You're the best.
Till next time.
Bye.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.